Here is the situation. Bubba Wallace came into Martinsville Speedway on March 29, 2026, sitting third in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings. His 2026 season was shaping up to be one of the strongest runs of his career. Consistent finishes, solid points, and real championship momentum. Then, in a matter of seconds on lap 324, all of that changed. One decision, whether it was calculated retaliation or a genuine misjudgment, cost him 8 positions in the standings, triggered a 12-car pileup, and sent shockwaves through the entire NASCAR community. And the reactions that followed? They were not quiet. Drivers, analysts, crew chiefs, and insiders all had something to say, and almost none of it was kind toward Wallace. To fully understand what happened at Martinsville, you have to understand what was at stake coming into that race. Bubba Wallace, 32 years old, driving the number 23 Toyota for 23XI Racing, the team co-owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, was having arguably the best point season of his NASCAR Cup career. He was sitting third in the standings, in real contention, and the kind of driver that championship conversations were starting to include seriously. Every race mattered. Every single point counted. On the other side of this story is Carson Hocevar, the young, aggressive driver of the number 77 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsport. Hocevar has built a reputation in the Cup Series for being willing to take risks and push boundaries to gain track position. He races hard, he races on the edge, and he does not back down. That combination of an aggressive young driver and a frustrated veteran in the pressure cooker of Martinsville Speedway was always going to produce something explosive. The trouble between Wallace and Hocevar did not start on lap 324. It started earlier in the race on a restart, when Hocevar made a bold, aggressive move by going 3 wide into Turn 1 at Martinsville. If you know anything about Martinsville, you already understand why that is such a significant move. Martinsville is a short, tight paperclip-shaped track where restarts are already chaotic. When drivers enter Turn 1 on a restart, everyone in the field has to slow down and check up for the corner earlier than they normally would. It is a physical requirement of the track layout. What Hocevar did was recognize that and use it to his advantage. By diving low and forcing a 3-wide situation, he was essentially exploiting the fact that other drivers were braking earlier than usual. It is the kind of aggressive, opportunistic move that defines how Hocevar races. Wallace did not appreciate it all. By the time the race reached lap 324, Wallace's frustration had been building for the entire event. His team had struggled to get the car handling correctly all day. In practice on Saturday, the number 23 had shown genuine speed. On Sunday, the performance simply was not there. He was running around 15th in the field, well below where he expected to be, and the earlier Hocevar move had clearly stayed with him. On that lap 324 restart, Wallace made his move. Entering Turn 3, he drove his number 23 Toyota directly into the back of Hocevar's number 77. The initial contact did not immediately spin Hocevar, but a stack up ahead of Hocevar resulted in Wallace hitting the number 77 a second time. That second hit sent Hocevar spinning. His car rotated across the track, and the resulting chain reaction brought 12 cars into the end. Among those collected were Zane Smith, Chris Buescher, Connor Zilisch, John Hunter Nemechek, and Eric Jones. When the dust settled, Carson Hocevar was still racing on the lead lap. Bubba Wallace was not. The number 23 had suffered race-ending damage. Wallace was credited with a 36th place finish, his worst result of the 2026 season. Hocevar crossed the line in 17th. After the race, Bubba Wallace addressed the incident directly. His explanation was that it was not intentional, that he had simply misjudged the corner. "I misjudged," Wallace said. "I didn't appreciate the 3 wide into Turn 1 fine, but I misjudged the center of the corner and didn't mean to turn Carson Hocevar." What a frustrating day. With so much expectation coming here, favorite track, hard ease on the car. This wasn't the day we wanted. We really have to figure out what it is this. We can win Saturday in practice, but we just don't show up on Sunday. So, I hate for our team. Just frustration. Take a week off and reset and go on to Bristol. That explanation, misjudged the corner, didn't mean to turn him, was heard by the NASCAR world. But not everyone accepted it at face value. The most revealing response came from inside Wallace's own team. His crew chief, Freddie Kraft, did not sugarcoat a single word. There's not really any sugarcoating about it. I gotta take Bubba for his word. He said he misjudged, and if he misjudged, it was a really bad misjudgment, and it hurts. We went from third in points to now we're tied for 8th with 5 other guys. Essentially, we're 11th in points, and it can't happen, Kraft said. Kraft went even further, making clear that if Wallace wants to be a genuine championship, moments like this simply cannot happen. You can't have those moments, and if you want to be a contender for the championship or a contender to be top 5, top 7, 8 in points, whatever it is, that *T can't happen. Unfortunately, we ended our day yesterday self-inflicted. Perhaps the most striking part of Kraft's response was what he said about Hocevar. Hocevar did nothing wrong. He took us 3 wide into turn 1 and passed us clean. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think it was just a lapse in judgment. When your own crew chief says the other driver did nothing wrong, that tells you everything you need to know about how the number 23 camp assessed the situation internally. Denny Hamlin, who is both a co-owner of 2311 Racing and one of the most respected voices in the sport, tackled the incident head-on during his Actions Detrimental podcast. His perspective was layered. He understood both sides, but he was clear about what happened and why. On Hocevar's restart move, Hamlin did not hold back. It's typically a D** move if everyone is restarting into turn 1 on a restart. Everyone's got to check up for the corner, right? If you're in row 8, you're checking up for the entry of 1 sooner than you normally would. Carson says I'm going to go 3 wide on a restart at Martinsville to the bottom. It's not illegal. It's just a D** move. But Hamlin also made it clear that Wallace's response was the bigger problem. I made of it that Bubba wrecked himself trying to knock Carson out of the way. He just didn't let up, kept driving in there, and eventually it caused him to wreck himself. That's my take. Hamlin acknowledged that Wallace went into the move thinking he would just knock the number 77 up the track and keep going. But the execution went completely wrong. He's thinking the result. He's just going to knock the 77 up the F***ing racetrack, get him back, and keep going. But the problem was once he got him up, he just kept going, and it was just a huge pile up. Kevin Harvick, speaking on his Happy Hour podcast, took a more empathetic tone, but still made the same core point. I know Bubba got riled up, Harvick said, because Carson put him 3 wide on a restart and put him in a bad spot, and Bubba didn't like that. But, it's Martinsville, and I've lost my temper a bunch of times at Martinsville and probably done stuff like this. But it's tough when you crash a guy like that and then wind up in the crash yourself and your day is done and it wipes out so many cars. Harvick admitted he has been in Wallace's shoes emotionally at Martinsville before. The difference is the consequence. I think Bubba just lost his cool. Harvick continued. He didn't like the move that Carson put on him earlier in the race and then kind of lost his cool there and wound up crashing the 77 and himself and several others. So, unfortunate for all the other guys that are involved. 12 cars, double-digit collateral damage. And Wallace himself did not even finish the race. The most analytical breakdown came from Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic, speaking on the Teardown podcast. Gluck was direct, just made one of the more puzzling decisions we've seen all year, because he was having a great point season. He was 3rd in points entering today. That move with he just sort of bulldozes Hocevar and stays on him, wrecks himself, takes himself out of the race, ends up dropping 8 spots in the point, all the way down to 11. Gluck also hammered home the cost in terms of raw points, a currency that carries enormous weight in the current NASCAR system. He was having such a solid start, and even if it wasn't going to be the great day today, you've just got to figure out how to deal with taking a 10th place finish, taking a 15th place finish, whatever it is, because he cost himself at least 20 points. At least. Bianchi added the psychological context, pointing out that Wallace's frustration had been building long before the contact with Hocevar. The car was not performing. The day was going sideways. And then Hocevar made that restart move, which was the final trigger. This is me just kind of projecting a little bit. I think that probably contributed to the decision there to bulldoze Carson Hocevar. Bianchi said, "You're frustrated because Hocevar took advantage of you on a restart that you didn't feel good about. Then you drive into him in the corner and just take him out. That's not good." Bianchi also placed this moment inside a broader context of Wallace's season trajectory. and he doesn't have a top 5 finish on the year. How quickly this all changes. A few weeks ago, he's sitting in second in point. You're like, man, he's running well every week. He just hasn't been able to kind of break through yet, but they're right there. Then boom, 34th, 36th, and now he's 11th in the points. No top 5s, and you look at this a different way. It's like, okay, the conclusion from both Gluck and Bianchi was the same. You can't do it. You just have to look at the big picture, Bianchi said. And we've heard a lot of the drivers talk about this a little bit. And it is a change in mindset. And there's people that say, like, not everybody quite is, or they quite realize the significance of this, because nobody's raced a system quite like this. And now they're just kind of figuring it out. It's going to be one of those things later this year where people are like, oh, okay. On the NBC analyst side, the reaction was more split. Kyle Petty was critical, arguing that Hocevar's move did not justify what followed. Hocevar is an easy target right now. You almost wrecked Hocevar, and everybody says, well, that's just Hocevar. He had that one coming. But in this case, I don't think Hocevar had this coming, man. Taking you 3 wide at Martinsville is not cause for what we're seeing right here on the screen. Steve Letarte offered a softer read, suggesting Wallace simply misjudged how hard he was pressing the accelerator, and that contact at Martinsville is part of the racing environment. But even Letarte's defense was a limited one. The numbers tell the clearest story. Bubba Wallace entered Martinsville 3rd in the NASCAR Cup Series standings. He left 11th. That is an 8-position drop in a single afternoon. He is now in a 4-way tie at 206 points with Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, and Chris Buescher, 3 drivers who are every bit as capable of capitalizing on any further mistakes. This was also Wallace's 2nd consecutive finish worse than 30th, following a 34th place result the race prior. He has yet to record a top 5 finish in 2026. At the top of the standings, teammate Tyler Reddick holds a commanding lead, meaning the gap between where Wallace could be and where he now sits has grown significantly. He is no longer controlling his own path near the top of the standing. He is now in a battle just to climb back into relevance. This incident is about more than one race result or one bad day at Martinsville. It is about whether Bubba Wallace can maintain the mental discipline required to compete at the championship level across a full NASCAR season. The current points system is unforgiving. Every position matters. A single emotional decision in a race where you might have salvaged a 10th or 15th place finish can erase weeks of consistent, hard-earned points in an instant. Wallace was on a trajectory that had the entire sport paying attention. He was in the championship conversation. Now, instead of pressing his advantage near the top, he is rebuilding. And the competition around him, Larson, Keselowski, Buescher, will not slow down to let him catch up. Every race they run clean, and he stumbles widens that gap further. The question the NASCAR world is now asking is a simple but serious one. Is this a one-time emotional lapse from a driver who has the talent and the team to bounce back quickly, or is this the kind of moment that starts to compound, where frustration builds on frustration and small mistakes become bigger ones? Wallace himself gave the clearest answer he could in the immediate aftermath. Take a week off and reset and go on to Bristol. That is the plan. Use the off weekend to decompress, reset mentally, and come into Bristol Motor Speedway focused and sharp. But Bristol, like Martinsville, is a short track. It is a high-intensity, tight-quarters environment where emotions run hot and incidents happen fast. The circumstances that triggered the Martinsville moment, a tight track, aggressive driving, a car that is not performing the way the team expects, could easily be present again at Bristol. A strong finish there, a top 10, even a top 15, would go a long way towards stabilizing Wallace's standings position and putting this episode behind him. The drivers tied with him at 206 points are all capable racers. Any further stumble from Wallace combined with a strong run from one of them reshapes the entire middle of the standings. What Bristol becomes, ultimately, is a statement race. It is Bubba Wallace's opportunity to demonstrate that Martinsville was a momentary lapse in an otherwise disciplined season, not the beginning of a pattern. The speed has never been in question. The potential has never been in question. What Martinsville put under the microscope was something different. The composure, the decision-making, and the ability to keep emotions from overriding the bigger picture when the pressure is highest. That is what Bristol will answer. And in a championship-level points battle this tight, the answer matters more than almost anything else that happens on the track.